G'day friends, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Show Us Your Tips for round 19. That is right, there is only 6 rounds of football to go. That has gone so quick. It's crazy. Look, we've got an absolutely banging round of footy ahead of us. We've got virtual elimination finals. We've got expansion cups and possible grand final previews, but we'll get to the Saints and the Eagles later. Just kidding. Like I said, heaps of great games on this week, and what a year of footy it's been. You know, it's kind of annoying for me, you know, given that we're having probably the most even year and the most competitive year of footy that we've had in a while in terms of who can make the finals and who can't. And unfortunately, my team is down there in the who can't pile. Look, that's just where we're at. It's look, it's not the end of the world. That's footy, but yeah, it would be nice to be a part of it this year. It really would. Look, last week we had a pretty good round in the tips. We picked up a 7 out of 9 and officially took the lead in the home league, which is fantastic for us. Going to be a tasty little payday in about 6 weeks if we cannot stuff it up from here, which is definitely not out of the question. Look, guys, look, we're going to get stuck into the tips in a sec, but look, before we do that, just make sure you get around us on all the socials. Links to that will be downstairs in the description. I've spent the last few days adding a lot of stuff to the eBay store, and I'm currently in the process of adding about 3 years worth of cards to it. So look, a bit of stuff's gone up in the last couple of days, but a lot more is going to go up over the following week. So yeah, make sure you get around, have a look at that whenever you've got a sec. You know, there's going to be heaps of stuff there from heaps of different teams. It's not just West Coast stuff, but yeah, look, there's a lot there. So yeah, make sure you get around that at your leisure. Follow that link down there, and yeah, let's get stuck into the tips. Alright guys, so kicking it off with Friday night footy, we got the Bombers playing the Crows at Marvel Stadium. Look, pretty interesting game here. This is definitely for me a must-win game for the Bombers if they're serious about taking this year to the next level. Both teams pretty sketchy form over the last 5 games, both only winning 3 of their last 5. And just a little bit of inconsistency there with both teams. I feel like the crowd sort of got it right here. Surely we're tipping the Bombers today. I think they've got a very good record over the Crows too. I think they've won their last 5 versus the Crows. And given that it is at Marvel, I think this should be a pretty safe win for the Bombers here and should get it done by about 4 goals. I think they've got a little bit more talent on the park than the Crows have got. And, you know, Crows with some, you know, obviously they're not going to have Isaac Rankin, who's out pretty much until I think the last game of the year. And I think he's quite important to them. So yeah, look, I think Bombers midfield too strong and should get the job done here by about 4 goals. Let's lock that in. Next, we're moving on to the first game on Saturday, and we have got the Expansion Cup, formerly the Who Cares Cup. Things are a little bit more relevant these days. We've got, it's an interesting this one. We've got 7th taking on 11th. There's only 1 win difference between these two sides. And I think if you sort of said, you know, without looking in the ladder, how many wins difference were there between GWS and Gold Coast? It feels like there's a little bit more than 1 wins different here. But look, it's a pretty easy one for me this week. Gold Coast, you can't tip them away from home. Now, I'm interested to see whether they're going to finish the year with this entire 50-50 split of home games versus away games. I think that's been done once before. I'm pretty sure West Coast did it back before the expansion teams came in. I can't remember what year it was, but I'm pretty sure they went 11-11 over 22 games of footy, 11 wins at home and 11 losses away. Someone who's a bit more stats savvy might want to clear that up, but yeah, look, I'm pretty sure if Gold Coast do it, it might only be the second time it's ever happened in the AFL era. Again, look, can't tip the Suns away from home until they prove me wrong. You know, at the moment, the formula works, so we're going to stick to it. So I'm going to lock the Giants in by about 3 goals. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think Giants are in pretty sketchy form as well. Anyways, we're going to move past that one and we're going to move on to the next game, which is also at 11:45 Western time, and we've got the Saints taking on the Eagles at Marvel. Look, the Saints kind of have the wood over the Eagles at the moment. We haven't actually beaten the Saints since 2021, which, to be honest, at this point, you could probably say that about most other teams in the AFL. Look, Eagles are probably the only team who have worse away form than the Gold Coast Suns, and look, I just can't really see us pulling the upset here. I will acknowledge that the Saints are going to be without Max King and Winhager. However, I do think Ross Lyon will still find a way to tag Harley Reid for this game. The way he spoke about Harley at halftime the last time we played the Saints about 6 weeks ago, you know, I just don't think he's going to let him run through. I'm not sure who's going to get the job, but I definitely think someone. It might be Darcy Wilson even. Who knows? He might get a little bit back for that tackle that Harley gave him in that previous game. Look, Eagles are going to be without a few as well, right? So we've got no McGovern. I think Flynn is doubtful. Duggan is going to miss with concussion. Surely for me, that means Jai Cully comes into the side. What that means for for rotations and stuff, I'm not really sure yet. This isn't a deep dive into the West Coast 22, but yeah, I'd like to see Jai Cully get a game this week. I think he's earned his spot. He's been tearing it up in the waffle, and I think it's time. It's time for Jai. Look, I think the Eagles are going to play pretty well here, but I think the Saints have got too much quality all over the ground here. I think Rowan Marshall is going to be huge up against the Williams boys, Bailey and Jack. And look, if you're a fantasy player and you have Roma in your team, that is a nice VC time slot as well. So, yeah, nice to be able to have a look at that one before you lock that one in. Look, I got to go with the Saints here. As much as I would love to tip my boys, I don't think it's going to be a blowout like some people sort of seem to think it is. I think it'll be about 4 or 5 goals. Let's lock them in by 25 points to the Sainters there. And then we're moving on to what could possibly be a game of the round. Absolutely one of the 2 best games of the round. Finals on the line here for both teams. Who would have thought that come round 19, Collingwood and Hawthorn would be, essentially playing each other for a spot in the 8. Look, interesting one here. There's going to be no clear home ground advantage. But one of the interesting stats I did find out whilst having a look at the backlogs for these games was that the home team, or whatever the home team is, has actually won 9 out of 10 last games. Now, there's some games in Tassie there for Hawthorn and stuff as well. But yeah, I don't know, just an interesting little quirk for that one. Look, the Pies are pretty out of form. They've got some pretty gnarly. Their injury list is pretty rough at the moment. Where the Hawks kind of seem to be on the opposite end of that. They've got a pretty clean, like a relatively clean bill of health, and they're playing some great footy. Did the job and got the job done over Freo last week at home in Tassie. And I think this is a genuine 50-50 game. Look, I don't know whether this is head or heart for me, but I'm leaning towards Hawthorn. I don't know. I think it's more gut feel, this one for me, but and maybe it's more that I just like to see the Pies miss the finals after winning the flag last year. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to let the Hawks in again, hoping that I can get a nice little, I'm assuming this is an upset. But yeah, anyways, we're going to let the Hawks in by 2 goals. I think it will be pretty close, and I just don't think the Pies really have that era of getting it done in close games and that certainty that if it's going to be close, like they sort of did last year. All right, moving on to the next game, and we have got the Pet Cup. We've got the Cats taking on the Dogs, a battle for the ages. This one's going on down at Alphabet Stadium. So look, this is a tough one. This is a tough game to call because the Dogs are so unpredictable. Look, it's crazy. 2 weeks ago, they get demolished by Port at home. And then last week, they beat the 2nd seed team in the Blues. Dogs, get it together. Just show me some consistency. You know what I mean? Let's just string 2 weeks of footy to go together so we can actually get a bit of an idea of where the Dogs are at. Look, the Cats should get this done. Surely the Cats get it done at home. Funnily enough, the one game that the Dogs have won over the Cats in the last 5 matchups has been at GMHBA Stadium in round 24 last year. So, not that long ago. Look, I got to go with the Cats here, and I'm going to lock them in by about 2 goals. It feels like there's a lot of about 2 goal sort of margins this week. Feels like this is what the crowd sort of thinks as well. So we're going to lock that in there. Now, this one should also be pretty straightforward, I would have thought, with Port Adelaide hosting Richmond at Adelaide Oval. Port just have to win, right? Port just have to win this game. I don't want to call it a danger game because it is at home, and like I said, Port should get the job done relatively easy. Look, the Tigers are paying $7. That is the longest odds of the round in this one, and again, Port just have to win, and I think they will. I think they'll win pretty easily. I can see Jason Horne-Francis bouncing back and having a good game this week, albeit against some lighter opposition, shall we say. But yeah, look, Port by 6 goals here. There's not really too much more to say about that. Definitely feels like I'm on the lesser end of things in terms of how much they're going to win by. But, I think Richmond will show a bit of fight. All right, moving on to Sunday morning footy. And I tell you what, if it's not Pies and Hawks for game of the round, then this is definitely it. I cannot wait to settle in and watch this one on Sunday morning over here. Two best teams in it, in my opinion. Could be a possible grand final preview as well. So, yeah, look, this is going to be an absolute ripper of a game. Brisbane survived a bit of a scare last week against my Eagles over here in Perth. And, you know, now they're back home for probably the biggest test they faced in a while. And probably this, you know, playing Sydney at your home is probably the second biggest test after playing Sydney at their home. So, yeah, look, this is going to be a great game. Funnily enough, Brisbane haven't lost to the Swans since 2021, which, yeah, look, I thought that was a little bit interesting. They're 4-1 in their last 5 against the Swans. Look, Brisbane are probably going to be without Charlie Cameron here, so no Country Road Lions fans, unfortunately. I feel this is going to leave them a little short in the small forward stocks. Not sure. You know, obviously Link McCarthy's also out with that ACL. You know, I guess this means Rayner, and I mean, I feel like Bailey's been playing predominantly that high half forward, but maybe him and Rayner will maybe rotate as a deeper small forward. I don't know. Look, I'm not an expert on Brisbane's list, but it does seem that they are a little bit slim on small forward stocks at the moment. Not that that is like the most important role on the ground by no means, but yeah, look, that's just the way it is. Look, Sydney had the deepest list in the comp at the moment. It's crazy that, you know, they were able to sort of, you know, have Heaney miss a week last week and then still play guys like Luke Parker to come on as a sub. And didn't he absolutely tear it, by the way? 72 fantasy points in a quarter and a half of football is insane. Insane. One to watch for your draft waivers, maybe. Look, where are we going to go for this one? I think at the Gabba, that Brisbane probably get it done. I think it's going to be a very close game. Yeah, it's tough to call. I'm going to go with the Lions. There's more gut feel, although who knows? This really could go either way, but let's do it. Let's lock in Brisbane at home by 4 measly points and move on to what I think is going to be another pretty good game here, and that's Freo hosting Melbourne over here at Optus. Look, I feel after they dropped a game last week, Freo sort of have to bounce back and win here. Look, they should get Sean Darcy and Alex Pearce back, which means pretty sure that means they're essentially at full strength. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, Freo fans, but I'm not really sure who else you're missing at the moment. Look, I think this game is going to be won and lost in the midfield, and I really, with Darcy coming back, and you know, with obviously no Petrarca for the D's and the patchy form that Clayton Oliver and even Jack Viney, you know, like he hasn't been great the last couple of weeks either. Look, I feel if Freo can get on top in the midfield, you know, you're Young, Sarong, Brayshaw, and then, you know, throw big Sean Darcy in there if he's back. I'm pretty sure he's going to be back. But look, with no Gawn as well for Melbourne, I think the Freo midfield is going to get on top pretty well. And if, you know, if the forward 6 can get on top of the back 6 for Melbourne, I think this could actually get kind of ugly for Melbourne. I think Freo can win this one by a fair bit. Look, I also think it's going to be interesting with you know, Freo's back 6 pretty much at full strength as well. You know, Melbourne have a pretty small, weird, sort of patched up kind of forward line. So I just think this is a really bad matchup for where the D's are at the moment. And look, I think Freo get it done pretty easily here, to be honest, by about 6 goals. Yeah, I think that one could be a little bit of a blowout, to be honest. Now, speaking of blowouts, we got to talk about Carlton and North Melbourne for the last game of the round here, and I'm going to call it danger game for the Blues. Sunday, twilight at Marvel, the who cares time slot. This, to me, just has all the markings of a quintessential Carlton loss. Sorry, Blues fans. I'm just calling out how I see it. North are kind of in form. Relatively speaking, North are playing good footy. Yes, they got pumped by the best team in the league last week at home. But look, Marvel is also North Melbourne's home ground as well. So not really a field home advantage here. And honestly, like Sunday twilight games at Marvel do not pull big crowds. So I can't see this being a hugely Carlton-centric crowd. I don't know. Don't get me wrong. Carlton is still the 3rd best team in it for me. They're also playing some amazingly good footy at times, and you know, are going to be a top 4 side come the end of the year. And I'm not saying that North Melbourne are going to win, but something is just tugging at my jellies to say that North could cause a bit of a boil over here. I'm not going to tip them. I'm not a crazy person. But look, I think this is going to be much closer than people think. And I think that Carlton are going to just get it done. And I think they're going to either come back or survive a late comeback from North Melbourne. I just got a feeling that's the way this is going to go. So I'm going to lock them in by 10 points. And it is going to be a close game, let me tell you. So, look, guys, that pretty much wraps us up for this week. Quick summary, I've gone to the Bombers to get it done over the Crows, the Giants to take out the Who Cares Cup, Saints to beat the Eagles, unfortunately. Look, I got the Hawks to pretty much end Collingwood's season, Cats to win the Pet Cup over the Dogs, Port to do what they need to do to get the job done over the Tigers, Brisbane to move into second flag favourites after beating the Swans at home, Freo to give the D's a bit of a belting, and for Carlton to survive a very sketchy scare on a Sunday afternoon from North. Guys, that is it for this week's Show Us Your Tips video. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we will see you in the next one.